This is the UFO Reporting Center again?
Yes.
Wonder if we get a description of what happened to you last night.
You know, I can try.
Okay.
I was coming off work, and I just happened to look over in the town, you know, it was about a quarter mile away from me. And there was this great big huge thing there, the biggest thing I'd ever seen. And I thought it was too big to ever be a normal airplane or anything, you know.
Uh-huh.
I was going pretty fast, it was going like about 40, so I slowed way down and looked at it. And it was moving right up by the trees. But it was going real slow. And pulled off the side of the road from Pittsburgh, and it was, oh God, it was the biggest thing on earth. It was about, well, I live in a 70-foot trailer.
Uh-huh.
Really, it had to been a half mile long. I'm poor judge of anything like that, but I think it was that big, maybe a mile long. And it had lights. And it was just above the trees, up above the road that stopped on it, you know.
Yes.
And I just sat there and watched it in complete amazement. I could see most of the lights. I can't tell you too much about how it was built. It was kind of long and oval. It's a strange light. It looks like black lights on it, not our kind of lights.
Uh-huh.
And I stayed there for about 10 minutes, and one side opened up, the front facing me, the side facing me opened up, and it shined a great big light out. And 3 little ships took off, or whatever they were. 3 little things took off with lights on them. And I really did still think maybe that you guys, you know, or that the people here was doing something, but I knew that nobody built something that big. So I stayed there and watched it, and then the other side opened up after those 3 took off, and they kind of all centered together and went together, you know?
Yes.
Not exactly doing everything the same, but in the same direction. And I'm skipping over all of it, but I got to it. It's a long story. The other 3, on the other side, 3 more came out, so there were 6 altogether. It came out of this huge, gigantic thing. And it closed up and left its lights on and just stayed there. And then I got thinking, you know, I scared myself a little bit. So I knew that it couldn't be anything normal. So I decided to come home, and from where that thing was, I had to go straight until about a mile, and I could still see over that field. So when I got ready to take off, I was driving real slow, so I would keep my eyes on it, you know, without running off the road. And I looked over there, and it was moving along with me. So I just kind of would go a little bit faster. So I was going to go around these corners. And from where the trees was down to the next clearance, about a half mile. I was driving about 45, you know, and I was trying to sit and not think about it. So I was just thinking about coming home and trying to forget that thing, you know, whatever it was. And I got to the next clearing, and I turned and looked at my left-hand side, and it was there again. It was following me. And it was right up above the trees, you know?
Yes.
Hanging in there. And so I pulled off the side of the road again, and I just sat there and stared at that thing. And then I got thinking, you know, I just had to get home regardless. And it seemed to stay in one spot. The big one did. And I just left it. And I was going to go, you know, get some more and then come back. That's what my intention was. So in the meantime, you know, while I was standing there watching the big one, I still seen all these 3 little things on each side doing strange little things together. But they wasn't coordinated together or anything. It was all trailing off by itself. And there was, well, I'll just keep going. So I came over by, I made some cutoffs. I took a shortcut to go over Long Rock Road. And there's one, little one. I didn't know whether it was following me. I didn't think it was really, because I'd made so many cutoffs, I lost my sense of direction. And I thought maybe, you know, the sky was, I'm not that smart, really, you know, foundational life and all that, I don't know this about. Anyhow, I'd made several cutoffs about 3 or 4 miles later, something like that. And I hit Little Rock Road and came back up this way to where I live. I don't know whether it's the same direction or not. And turned and looked at my let's see, I was driving. I looked at my left-hand side. Yeah, it was the left. And the little one was right there beside me. It was like as high as an airplane. But I could see it that close, so it was the closest I'd seen one little one, and it was a big too.
Just about how far away from you would you say that was?
Oh, I'm such a poor judge of distance. Like an airplane that was flying low. Don't tell you anything?
Uh-huh.
Okay. But there was traffic on Little Rock Road, you know, and there was a lot of stars out. So I had to stop and make sure that it wasn't just a star or something in my head.
Yes.
But it had red and blue lights on it, you know, so I knew it wasn't. I knew it was one of those little things. So anyhow, it followed me all the way home. I got out of my car and I was kind of scared because by the time I parked my car in my driveway, it was in front of me, and it was bigger, and I knew for a fact it followed me, you know. And I came in and told my son-in-law about it and asked him if there was such a thing in the world, you know, that these people were building here. How big the biggest jet was and all that. And I grabbed a hammer and told my story, which took a long time. And then I said, well, look about and see if it's still there. And he was with me, and I was, you know, so upset then. We went out there, and my two daughters and him, and I went out there, and it was still there. And right in my backyard, only there was all three of them there. Seemed like the three that came out the side of the ship, you know, whichever side it came out of.
Uh-huh.
Like that, like all three of them followed me, and I didn't really know it. So I told him to call the police and to, you know, to find out what was going on. Maybe something strange was going on, I didn't know. And I stayed out on the porch and watched it. And then all three of them made a formation right above the trees, like a ball. Only the closer they got to it was like a sun ball, you know, it was round.
Yes.
And made a formation up over the trees and just clung there. You know, it stayed right there. It was strange. But it was a strange way they moved more than anything. You know, I know it wasn't normal.
Did they appear to come close to the ground at any time?
Well, they were down real low, yeah. But I don't know whether they landed or not, because in the meantime it was freezing. I was going in and out, and I was trying to answer questions on the telephone, you know.
Yes.
And my girls were getting scared, and I was trying to take care of them. You know, tell them not to be afraid of it or whatever. And anyhow, I thought, you know, I was on the phone to the cops for quite a while. It was about, these things stayed in the air for about 3 or 4 minutes, real close and hovered together. And I put the girls in the house, and I was talking to these guys on the phone for a long time, 15 minutes. And I thought, by then I went out again, and it looked like they was trying to go away on the road facing me. It seemed to me like that's where they were staying. So I told my son-in-law, Charlie, that we'd go over there and take a look there, because I wanted to see a big one. And we got over there, and by the time we'd gotten over to the road, they were up in the sky. But they were still close enough to tell if they were a star, and you see all the lights and knew what they were doing.
Yes.
And the one stayed in place for about 30 minutes in one spot over there, because that's the long they stayed. And all the cops were over there, and they seen it by then. The one little one, you know.
Yes.
And I pointed out the other one. It's, you know, the one that, there was 3. And I pointed out one on one side and one on the other side, but they wasn't really listening all that well. I guess they didn't, I don't know. They really wasn't listening to me, these people. All these cops and nothing. And I told them where the big one was, too, and I tried to tell them that story, and they wasn't really listening, so I thought, to hell with them. All those cops up there, and I just got out and looked at it again by myself, because I wanted to go back on the Elm Highway, the big one. And he called, I don't know, one cop called somebody over by Splurgeon Creek. That wasn't where it was at. It was out by a farmhouse on the Elm Highway.
Uh-huh.
So my son-in-law went over there, and it took 25 minutes to drive back over there. And when we got over there, that's what I was looking for, was that great big enormous thing. I could not find it on the way out there or nothing. So I was just about giving up hope. And I turned around on the highway. And I did not turn around. It was just before I turned around. And we seen this flashing, large black light. Oh, Charlie seen it first, my son-in-law, and he says, look at that light going through the trees, you know. And I tried to look up, so I spent like 40 minutes looking very long. And it looked like an enormous black light flashing off and on, but it looked like it was going through thousands and thousands of trees. And that's what I thought, you know, that we couldn't see anything to get to the trees. And so I was trying to slow down and turn off the road. And we looked up again, there was no trees there. It was an empty field, but it was so dark, you know.
Uh-huh.
And this thing was going so fast and flashing so, you know, great. It was just like, I don't know, it took about half a second for it to pass one side of the earth. And it was gone. It disappeared, just fast. There was no way we could stay up at that thing, whatever it was. So we got real interested and think we were going to see more, and we turned around, the car around, sat there for a while. And we seen two other really strange lights, and the way they moved, they was real close. They came down. This one did. It was kind of an oblong ball of fire, I suppose. From a distance, that's what the story looked like. And it would come up to you. Not close to me, I'm not saying that. But it would come up close to where you get a good look at it. And it acted like it was doing something. It came down close to the trees, and it looked like it even come down on the ground. But of course I couldn't see past the trees.
Yes.
And it would go straight back in full speed, which was a lot of speed, more speed than we'd done. And it would hang in the air. And then it would come up real close to whatever it was doing, And then it would go in reverse, just so fast it was unreal. And then it would cling, and it would go up, and then it would go down. It would cling in one spot, and it stayed there for about 20 or 30 minutes. And we spent most of our night on the Yamaha watching these things. And then, of course, it was getting late, we had to come home, but there was a lot of things that my son-in-law was seeing, and, there's no way I could ever explain all of it.
Okay. Now, the large object that you saw, was there any definite shape to that?
Well, only by light, but I could tell you because I couldn't see what it looked like.
Uh-huh.
You see? Yeah, it looked to me like, because of the lights on it, it looked like it was about the shape of a whale. Because I've seen Jaws,
Uh-huh.
and it was kind of shaped like him. It was big in the front, kind of small in the back.
Very oblong, then.
Yeah.
Okay. Would there be any chance of our interviewing you?
I don't even know who I'm talking to. Who are you?
I'm Bob Gribble of the UFO Reporting Center in Seattle.
Yeah, I sure will talk to you. I'd like to have someone that would believe me. Listen to me.
Well, we find this case very interesting because within the last month on the Pacific Coast, we've been getting numerous reports of huge objects.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
Well, I'm sure glad. Because, I thought people might think that's crazy. Huge objects like what I talked about?
Yes,
Is
very
that right?
oblong, up to and exceeding 800 feet long.
800 feet? Yeah, that's a big thing, isn't it?
That's about 2.5 city blocks long.
Yeah, that's what this was. Maybe bigger. Because I was closer here. Maybe it seemed bigger to me. I haven't seen anything that large. Well, did they see it? Well, tell me what they seen, would you?
Just very big objects. They didn't see the smaller ones that you saw or, being launched from it. But in most cases, very large objects, oblong.
In what area?
We were getting several reports out of California and also, we got one from Houston, Texas, and one from Las Vegas area. And we're really curious because this seems to be some kind of a new pattern which is developed in the field of ufology, and we'd like to get as much information on it as we can.
Well, there's a lot more I'd like to tell you that, like last night after we went to bed, which was about 2:30 in the morning,
Uh-huh.
we were all exhausted. My mind was really going, And we were laying here, and I heard all kinds of strange things, and I get up and look, and I couldn't see too much, but we laid in bed for about 15 minutes or so, trying to go to sleep, and my daughter and her husband was in bed. And I had just drifted off, so I didn't really hear anything. I heard a lot of crashes and a lot of sound like whirlies, in the air.
Yes.
A whirl thing.
Uh-huh.
But I knew I had to go to sleep regardless of what was out there. And anyway, my daughter came in, and she came in, so she said, Mommy, hurry and go to the window and look. And we went out there, and I opened the door at the window in her bedroom real fast. And I did hear it, but I couldn't see a damn thing. And it sounded like, the noise that I heard sounded like about 1,000 wild dogs barking together in high speed. And that's the truth, That's the only way I could ever explain that to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, would you be available Sunday?
This Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How early could we come down?
Well, if you want to take a time, that'd be fine. I'll try and make that.
Pardon me?
About 10, would that be okay?
Oh, that would be fine.
Yeah.
Because we would really like to take you over to wherever you saw this big object, too. And we'd like to check those fields out by your place.
Yeah. Well, what if they're still here tonight?
Well, number one, do you have a camera?
Yeah, I do. I sure do.
Okay.
I'm going to get pictures of her.
Regardless whether you got black or white or colored film, if you see anything there tonight, why, get pictures.
Okay.
And, of course, if you get anything going like an object coming down and actually sitting on the ground where you can see it on the ground, we'd like to hear about that right away.
Well, I feel confident that could have pretty well happened last night, although I didn't see it.
Uh-huh. Well, it's very difficult to tell at night.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well, fine. Then we'll see you about 10 o'clock Sunday morning. And,
well, if I get anything strange happen, can we hear about
it? What you saw, will you?
Okay, this is how I saw it and where and everything.
Okay.
I was driving on U.S. Highway 6 and 50 across Utah.
Uh-huh.
And it was between Eureka and Delta, Utah.
Okay.
Okay, and it was approximately 1:35 or 1:40 in the morning, according to the clock in my car. And I was going down the highway. I was speeding. I was doing 70 miles an hour. And I thought it was a police car. So I slowed down because it had red and blue lights on it.
Okay, now where was this located in relation to you?
I would say it was about a mile behind my car.
Okay.
So I slowed down to 30 miles an hour, 30 or 35, around there for it to catch up. And it never got any closer, but it never got any farther back. And the lights were still there.
Uh-huh.
So I speeded back up to 55. And I checked the mirror again, and I never got any closer, and it never got any farther back at all. So the car I have is no slowpoke, so I took it up to 120 miles an hour to see what would happen. And it never got any closer, and it never got any farther back also. So I stopped completely. And I don't know what it was. It just came over, and it was going. I do some private flying on my own, and I estimated speed at close to 5,000 or 6,000 miles an hour. It's faster than any jet. Not even an SR-71 can do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fastest jet in the world. And this thing just went, I mean, it was there and it was gone. It went directly overhead. And it was, as much as I saw of it and as long as I saw it, I'd estimate it was 70 to 90 feet above the ground.
Gee, that's pretty low. Did you hear anything?
It was just...
I mean, did it give off any kind of sound?
Well, that's what I'm trying to describe. It's trying to relate it to something.
Uh-huh.
Let me see what it sounds like. The closest I can come is, you know, a mixer on high speed?
Oh, yes.
On really, I mean, like, not osterized, I mean pulverized.
Yeah.
It's really like a mixer with nothing in it on high speed. And I had my window down and was looking out and up to see what it was, and it just, the thing went hell-bent for leather over. And it went over the horizon, and good God, it was less than 30 seconds, and it was out of sight.
Okay, well, you were westbound at the time?
Yes, I was heading west towards, the next town would be Ely, Nevada.
Okay, now, it had no shape?
As much as I could see from the outline of the lights, it had one blue light directly on the front of it, and as much as the outline I could see was it had like a half a circle was the front part of it, and then the rear end was more or less came out in a triangular thing.
I see.
Like half a triangle and half a circle.
Okay.
Okay, and on the front of the circle I picked out was the blue light, one single blue light. And then on the outside, like where the circle came into the triangle, from what I could see was where the two red lights were. And that's what made me think it was a highway patrolman, because they got one blue light on top and then two red ones on either side.
Right.
And there was nothing like an exhaust or anything, you know, like it didn't leave any fumes or vapors, and I didn't notice any phenomena that created in the air like ionization or vaporization of anything. But it just, it went over.
Okay, now how long do you figure it followed you before you finally stopped?
It followed me, I first sighted it, like I said, at 1:35 or 1:40, and when I finally stopped, it was 10 minutes after 2. That was in the morning.
Well, that was quite a while then.
Yeah, it didn't get any closer or any farther back, and that's what was making me think that, it isn't a police car. And Highway 6 and 50, when you leave, I believe when you leave Eureka, Utah, there is nothing for 61 miles until you hit Delta. Absolutely nothing.
Okay, was there any other traffic on the highway?
None at all. This highway is just plain dead and deserted.
Okay, did any traffic show up after the object had disappeared on the rest of your trip?
Well, I did see one car when I was about 4 miles out of Delta, but that could have been somebody that lived out in the rural area.
Otherwise, there was nothing.
No, there was nothing.
Okay.
And this is the second time that I've seen something driving that highway. The first time I kind of wrote it off as airplanes, but not this one.
Okay, now when that object came over, did it come directly overhead, right down the highway?
It didn't. It was kind of to the, well, let's see, facing my direction heading west. It was kind of off to the right of the highway. It was like it was traveling this little ridge. It was, maybe 50 or 100 yards off to the right of the highway.
I see.
And it was, it wasn't that far above the ground.
Okay. Did you have any problems with your car at any time while this was still going on?
My Ultra, I've got a 69 Charger that's got oil pressure, fuel, temperature, and alternator. And after the thing went over and I took off again, my alternator just went crazy. I mean, it just went absolutely berserk. It was just flashing to full discharge and then full charge, and then it holds steady, and then it's full discharge, full charge, and my lights kept flashing on and off. And for once there, my lights went off, and all of my gauges went dead, just like everything was gone.
Now, was that when the object got near, or was that when it was tailing you?
That was, first time that happened was when I slowed down to about 30 miles an hour. When I slowed down, my lights went off, and I figured it was a short between my brakes and my headlights because I was putting the brakes on. And then the second time it did that was after the object went completely past me, and it's gone, and I started off again, and then everything just went crazy.
Okay. Now, during prior to sighting this thing in your mirror, did you have any unusual feelings or any physical or mental feelings?
The back of my neck was tingling like crazy, like, the feeling you get when somebody's got their hand right next to it.
Right.
And you don't actually see them. And, I've been in combat area before in the Middle East, and I've kind of got a sixth sense from that, and that's what made me start checking my mirrors and everything.
That was before you spotted it, though?
That was before I spotted it.
Okay. How about while all this was going on after you spotted it? Was there anything unusual that you felt?
Except when it was, like, directly to the right of me when I was looking out at it up in the sky. And, I wasn't out of the car completely. I was hanging up and out the window, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
I didn't feel I had time to get out of the car and watch it, so I just rolled it, cranked the window down, and got up and watched it. And I got really, what kind of a sensation is it? Like, you get a cold chill or something?
Yes.
That could have been from just hitting the cold air really fast from the warm car, but it was, really racked me good.
Yeah. Okay, has anything happened to you since then? Anything unusual?
Well, nothing unusual. The only physical thing that's happened to me is I've got quite a few scars on my body, and they've been hurting really intensely lately, especially on my arm. Now, I don't know whether that could be attributed to it or not, but it's been hurting quite a bit.
Okay, did you have your car radio on at the time?
No, I didn't.
Has everything worked in the car okay since?
Yeah. Well, the lights go out on bright still. If you can drive them on dim, all right. But when you switch it on bright, the alternator just sometimes they'll go out, and sometimes they'll stay on. But it never did that before I saw that thing.
Okay.
That car was in perfect running condition before I saw that thing.
Now, did that happen this morning?
What's this?
Early this morning?
When I saw it?
Yeah.
No, that would be, what is today, Thursday?
Friday.
Oh, today's Friday. Wow. This was, it'd be, I'm trying to think of when I got to California. It would be Sunday morning, last Sunday morning, real early, because I just found out about you guys today.
Oh, that would be the first then.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And Sunday morning, real early.
Okay. Who did you get our number from?
Lieutenant Commander here at Naval Station, Treasure Island, California.
Oh, great.
And I've been trying to find a place like this, because I get that, subscribed to the magazine, the annual, that keeps you updated on the reports. And that's why I was curious, as you asked about the car, whether it was the, as they call them, the Men in Black. Do you know anything about them?
Oh, yeah, we hear a lot about those.
That's, I don't know. I haven't met him yet. Maybe I will for seeing that.
Well, I debate as to, some of these stories are really way out. What I was going to ask is if you would fill in one of our questionnaires for us.
Oh, certainly. If you'd like, I can sit down and, to the best of my knowledge, draw this thing for you.
Yes, I would like that very much.
Okay, and I can, as much as I saw of it, and the moon wasn't out that night, but as much as I saw of it, I think I can put a fairly good replica on a piece of paper. Because, I was a nuclear engineer for the Navy, and I can get a pretty good idea of what it looked like down for you.
Excellent. Now, how high did you figure that thing was approximately off the ground?
Well, I would say, just from a rough triangulation, was between 70 to 90 feet, maybe at the utmost 100, but it wasn't below 50.
You figure it maintained that altitude all the way?
It was contour flying.
Oh, I see.
It wasn't just straight altitude, it was contour
flying.
Following
The contour of that ridge?
It was the contour of the road. That's why I kept, maybe that's why I didn't see it until I actually felt that feeling or had a reason to check in my mirror because of the hills in that area.
Right.
If there hadn't been hills or just straight and flat, I'd probably noticed it earlier. But it was coming, and it was flying the contours. It wasn't just taking a straight altitude or a straight lateral course or anything.
Right.
It was just like he was having fun,
Well, we sure appreciate your call, and we'll get that questionnaire in the mail right away.
Okay, and I got your address here on this card, so
Fine.
I'll make that drawing up, and anything else I remember I'll put in there with it and send it up to you.
Thank you very much.
And I'll spread the word about you guys, and if anybody else has seen anything, then I'll have them get a hold of you.
We would appreciate that very much.
Okay. And,
Thank you.
Have you got any recent literature on the recent sightings and anything?
Yes, we do. You want me to send you some?
Yeah, would you please?
Will do.
Because for a while there, I was a skeptic on it, but after I've had 3 or 4 experiences with them that I never really got around to reporting to anybody, and after this last one, I'm a firm believer.
Yeah, okay. And anytime you mention our organization, anybody who has seen anything, why, tell them that if they'll call just long enough to leave their name and telephone number and what they saw, then we'll get back to them.
All right. Okay, I'll be sure to do that.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Someone at Boeing, and he gave me this number and felt that I should call you. I live in Richmond Beach, right off the water, and I saw kind of an unusual craft of some kind. I don't know what it was.
Okay, would you like to describe what happened?
Yes, I had been to Waxing Rain to buy some paint, and I came home, and I was sitting in the car, and I was listening to a song, and then I got out of the car and started to get my dogs out, and I just, noticed lights. And so I looked up, and I can't really estimate exactly how high it was, maybe 300 feet, maybe lower, I don't know. And I saw 2 lights, and they were flashing very sporadically. And then I saw 1 light, and it wasn't a strobe. It wasn't going around like a normal plane. It was kind of flashing.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I watched it for a second, and I thought, well, it's kind of a funny plane. I didn't think too much of it. And then all of a sudden, I saw maybe 6 or 7 more lights, and they were extremely bright, and they were flashing all over it, and they were all white. And then I thought it moved kind of quickly, and it was to the left of me, and then it was to the right of me, and then it was sort of to the front of me, and it was flashing real funny all this time, all these lights, and then maybe 1, and then a whole bunch, and then, and I never saw any red lights or any green lights, although it was at different angles, and I was really watching it, and it's really clear tonight, and it's kind of low, and then I decided that I'd better get someone, so I ran in the house and told my husband to come out and see this thing, and he watched it, and it went in a northeasterly direction, and it seemed to be kind of low and moving first kind of slow, then kind of fast, and, it was not really zigzagging, but it was just picking up speed and then decreasing, kind of funny. And he watched it fly off, and he saw it too, and it was a really peculiar type of light. It wasn't a revolving strobe, and I don't know, it was just these lights seemed to be kind of one-sided on it, when they were flashing the brightest.
I see.
And I don't really know what else, and there wasn't any noise. I mean, we didn't hear any helicopter, we could have heard, I think, the helicopters that were that low, and didn't notice any aircraft engines, and I could have been terribly excited maybe and overlooked that, but I didn't recall hearing anything at all.
Okay, could you see a fuselage of any kind?
Not at all. No shape whatsoever. Just the light. It was like there was nothing there except light. It was really peculiar. It was like you could almost look through whatever was there. It was just dark. I mean, no, nothing.
Well, did the lights themselves take any kind of a shape?
Well, like I say, they started out with like the two lights, and then there was like one, and they were kind of to, the way I was looking at it, kind of to the right of it. And then, okay, it's hard to describe on the phone. Then they sort of got to one side of those two lights, a whole bunch of them. And they almost, you know how when you observe a shooting star, they have a little tail?
Right.
Okay, well, that's sort of what they looked like. They were so bright. They seemed to be almost ejecting themselves from those two lights. They were.
I see.
They were, well, they were just so bright. They were
Right.
leaving little tails.
Uh-huh.
Like a bright star, or maybe a headlight if you look at it real right in your eye or something. It just kind of. But they seemed to be to one side of the two.
Okay, those that seem to be ejected, did they just take off and leave, or did they just remain in the area?
No. They just seemed to glow, and then they would go out, and then the whole process would start over again, real zigzaggedy, and then the two, and then the one, and there was just no pattern to them.
I see.
It was real funny.
Okay.
It was like they were. Only thing, like a neon light when it shorts out or something, how it kind of just keeps flashing real sporadic.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the pattern that they seemed to be following, and they didn't go anywhere. They just would die out, and then they'd come on again. And when it was flying off, my husband came out, and at that time there were what looked like two lights flickering brightly, then one, and then maybe three when he saw it. And like he said, that he'd never seen anything flicker like that either. And we've seen a lot of planes at night on the water like this. But, and in fact, we've been looking at planes since just to see, and nothing at all like that. It was really funny.
And you were looking due west? They were over the water at all times?
No, they weren't over the water. We live right off the water, maybe a half a mile or maybe 3/4 of a mile from the water's edge, and they were almost directly over my driveway when I first spotted it. And then it seemed to be closer to the water, and then back kind of behind my neighbor's house across the street, and then heading northeasterly from there.
Now, do you have any estimate of distance? Well, no, that would you say it was practically overhead, but how about altitude?
I don't have a good gauge of altitude, first of all. I mean, it's hard for me to estimate, footage. I'm not real good at that. But from the treetops and everything, I'd have to say maybe 200 feet or so. Maybe lower, maybe slightly higher. I don't know.
Okay.
It would be really difficult for me to...
And you didn't pick up any sound at all?
No sounds at all. And I could hear dogs. The dogs were all barking in the neighborhood and everything. And my dog... I just went off and left him, standing there, and that's really unusual for me. But the only thing I could think of was, first of all, I thought, well, I'm going to scream. And then I thought, well, no, that's dumb, what's that going to do? So then I thought, well, someone's got to see this. So I ran in and got my husband as quickly as I could because it was starting to leave when I decided to come in. And he ran out very quickly and stood on the bench on our deck, which is a little higher, and he could see it. And as far as he was concerned, he had never seen anything like that either.
Was anyone in the residence in your home watching television at the time?
Yes, they were.
Did they notice anything happening to the TV?
Oh, I don't know. Just a second. Bob, when you were in the house, you were watching the television, right? What happened to the set? Did it act funny, or did the picture get fuzzy? My husband says yes, there was. How much before I came home, honey? He says about 5 minutes before I arrived home. The set had lines going through it.
Okay.
He said no. He said it would be closer to 10 minutes before I got home.
Okay.
And like I say, I sat in the driveway and listened to a song, so that was probably 2 or 3 minutes there.
Okay. Now, when you were listening to that song, did you notice anything unusual about the radio?
Nothing at all about the car radio.
Okay.
And anyway, it was weird. I can't tell you what that did to me. That was just...
Is this the first time you've ever seen a UFO?
Well, I don't even know if that's what it was, but yeah, it was the first time I've ever seen anything like that, yes. And at first, I just normal reaction, oh, what is that? What's that dummy doing? He must really be a screwball flying like that, and I thought, God, man, he's really got lights all over that thing. And just typical, reaction like that I would have. And then I thought, my God, that guy isn't, that's weird. And then all of a sudden, I realized maybe that might not be a plane or a helicopter. And that's when I started to get a little bit excited. But I was in fact, I was, just kind of nonchalantly observing this thing at first because I just, it never even dawned on me that it could be anything else but a plane. And I just thought, oh, God, And I wasn't excited or anything when I first looked at it. I guess maybe that's why I looked at it so closely. But, man, after the first couple of seconds and it started to sink in, I got a little bit excited then. And I admit I was getting a little bit panicky.
Did you have any unusual feelings, physical or mental, at all?
No, I haven't.
How about while you were watching it, other than being excited?
I was terribly excited. I began to get a little bit afraid, but in fact, I get a little bit funny when I think about it. But I didn't really feel fear or anything like that until after I'd really watched it for a minute, and then it began to frighten me because I didn't know what it was.
Right.
And then I got kind of excited after I had come in the house, like I had to run out and see it again, like I had to prove it to myself the second time that it was really there.
Sure.
And then I kind of felt assured when I looked at it the second time. But I've had dreams before about, like I might watch a movie on television or something, and I might dream about a UFO. But nothing like that. I mean, just dumb dreams that I could have eaten something.
What time did you spot that?
It would have been, it must have been just before 9 o'clock.
Okay.
I didn't even look at the clock. Isn't that dumb? I should have done that. It was just before 9 o'clock, wasn't it? 5 minutes to 9, my husband said. I knew it had to be close because I was trying to make this store before it closed. And...
Okay, fine. Well, I think I got just about everything. Now, there's one thing. While it's still fresh in your mind,
yes.
I would like you to make a drawing showing
of what I saw.
Right.
Okay.
And then what we would like to do is come out for just a short visit and interview you on this and find out exactly where this was seen in relation to your home.
Okay, I will. I kind of drew it as I was talking to you just to kind of try and help me explain how the lights were. It was really funny. I guess the way I could describe it best is when we go and watch the fireworks, sometimes they shoot off when it explodes, it doesn't explode right. It kind of fizzles out to one side. I guess that would be closest to what it looked like. I mean, like it was lopsided, or, all to one side, and then the center lights here. But anyway, I'll be more than happy to do it now, so I'll have it,
Fine, and then can we get back to you later for an interview?
Yes, you may.
Okay.
Certainly. I feel kind of, like when I first thought about it, first thing I did was I called my neighbor because she's kind of cool-headed about things like this, and I thought, well, maybe she'll talk me out of it. And I was really upset, and she said, well, call the tower out at SeaTac, and then he said call Payne Field. So I tried, neither one of them answered, so then I called the police, and then the police gave me Boeing's tower, and then they gave me your number.
Fine.
Do you know when approximately you would be coming out to?
Well, you'll probably hear from us tomorrow.
Okay.
Someone will be calling you.
Okay, fine. Well, thank you very much. Just out of curiosity, has anyone else called you, or?
Not this evening.
Oh, that's really weird. Oh, well, anyway, I don't know what to say. But anyway, fine. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks again for calling.